Sit down, because here comes a story. Imagine we're in the 60s. People still wore bell-bottom pants, listened to the Beatles, and cell phones were just a crazy dream from the Jetsons. Then, out of nowhere, the US government decides it would be a good idea to create a way for computers to exchange ideas, like a secret WhatsApp group between giant machines. But it wasn't because they wanted to play online games or watch kitten videos. It was more of a precaution, just in case one day they needed to communicate quickly, right? And that's how ARPANET came about. Imagine a network designed to connect 4 computers, one in each corner of some very nerdy universities. This was back in 1969, the same year man stepped on the moon, and someone probably thought, cool, now we just need to be able to send a digital hi. These computers were huge, like grandma's refrigerator, but less useful for storing lasagna. They were slow, noisy, and had less memory than a sleepwalking cricket. And yet, they made history. And then came the glorious moment, the first email in the known universe. Sent by a guy named Ray Tomlinson in 1971. And what was the content of the first email in history? Nothing philosophical, nothing romantic, no good morning group. Just a random little test. Like when you text asked to see if the internet is working. The innovation lay in the symbol he used to separate the username and the server, the famous @ Yes, the same one we use today to tag everyone on Instagram. Ray was the inventor of tagging, before it became trendy. Oh, and let's not forget the historic moment when someone tried to send the word login from one computer to another, and all that arrived was just hello. The system froze on G. In other words, the first internet bug was a computer laziness attack. This phase was like the internet's infancy. Full of stumbles, experiments, tangled wires, and a lot of nerd sweat. But without it, we wouldn't have memes, video calls, or the joy of seeing the notification that says, order out for delivery. Imagine that the internet, back in the late 1970s, was still a baby nerd learning to walk. Well, in the 1980s, it started going to school. And guess what? It became the darling of the college crowd. ARPANET, that network of 4 giant computers I mentioned in Part 1, began to gain friends. Universities, research centers, and some serious laboratories began connecting. No TikTok, no Instagram. The height of fun was sending an email with all gray text, no bold, no emojis, and with that academic work scent in the air. It was around this time that TCP/IP was born. Think of TCP/IP as the official language of computers. Before it, each machine had its own way of communicating. It was as if one computer spoke Portuguese, another Japanese, and another duck with lots of quack quack. TCP/IP was like a language teacher who arrived saying, "Guys, let's all speak the same way so we can understand each other better." And so, on January 1, 1983, everyone transitioned to the new digital language. And then, in 1989, a guy named Tim Berners-Lee arrived. He worked at CERN, that fancy European Science Center, and had an idea that changed everything. What if we put documents on pages connected by links, and anyone could view them on their computer? Voila! This idea gave rise to the World Wide Web, yes, the famous www you see on websites to this day. Oh, and a detail. Back then there were no fancy browsers, no colors, no flashing buttons. It was just text on a black screen, and if you wanted to see something, you had to type commands like bash, copy code, cd pasta/progetto, lister_archivos, abrir_documento_tis123.txt. It was the hardcore internet. If you got a letter wrong, the computer would just say invalid command and make you sad. But it was during this period that the internet stopped being a secret club of scientists and began to prepare to become what we know today. It was like watching a teenager who doesn't yet know how to dance, but is already practicing some strange moves in the mirror, ready to rock the prom. In the 1990s, the internet came out of its shell. Before, it was just black text on a black screen, the stuff of professional nerds. But then graphical browsers started appearing, like Mosaic, 1993, and Netscape Navigator, 1994. This meant that, for the first time, you could view images and text together, on the same screen. It may seem basic today, but at the time, it was as shocking as discovering you could put ketchup and mayonnaise on the same sandwich. The internet started to reach homes. But wait, it wasn't just a matter of turning on the Wi-Fi and that was it. You needed a dialer. This meant you turned on the computer. I connected the cable to the telephone jack. I pressed connect and waited for that unmistakable sound, a mix of a fax machine, an alien singing, and a pressure cooker. I hoped no one would answer the phone in the middle of the connection. The internet back then was slow. To open an image, you had to scroll through it line by line, like a curtain rising. And downloading a song? Forget it. It took so long that you'd go to sleep and come back the next day to see if it was finished. And the content? Well, it was simple. Websites with gray or white backgrounds, underlined blue letters, which were the links, and some pixelated images. Even so, the novelty was so incredible that everyone wanted to create their own website. Pages began to appear about anything: stamp collections, pudding recipes, pictures of cats in hats, all created with such love and zero design sense. It was also at this time that the first online stores appeared. And then the eternal question arose. But is it safe to put my credit card here? Answer at the time: better ask your neighbor who understands computers. The 90s were basically the internet's high school years. It still had pimples, connection errors, wore questionable clothes, strange designs, and spoke a little slowly, but it was already starting to attract attention and win over the crowd. Imagine it's the early 2000s. The millennium bug passed and didn't wipe out the planet, although some thought the microwave would take on a life of its own. Computers were getting faster, and the internet was about to get much more interactive. This phase was given the fancy name Web 2.0. What did that mean? That people not only visited websites, but also created content. Before, you were just a polite visitor who browsed and left. Now you could comment, post, interact, and of course talk nonsense. It was around this time that social networks were born. First came the roots ones, like Friendster and MySpace, which already gave a taste of what was to come. But here in Brazil, the real hit was Orkut. Orkut, a place of cute testimonials, communities with weird names. I've already eaten dirt was a real one, and those photos taken with a 2-megapixel camera in the bathroom mirror. It was also in this decade that YouTube appeared, 2005, and changed everything. Suddenly, anyone could record a video and share it with the whole world. And that's when the first viral memes were born, like the 3D dancing baby or the number Gento immortal classics. Another new development was online music. Platforms like Napster and later iTunes changed the way we listen to music. Sure, internet connections weren't rocket science yet, but you could download your favorite songs without waiting until your next birthday. Oh, and the website's look got an upgrade too. It was no longer the gray and dreary look of the 90s. Now it had color, round buttons, flashy fonts, sometimes even too much so. If you opened a site with a lot of shine, you could feel like you were entering a digital carnival. And the best part? The internet no longer screamed in your ear when you connected, because most homes started having broadband. Now you could be online and use your phone at the same time, a breakthrough that seemed like magic. In the 2000s, the internet became hip, social, and full of life. It was the equivalent of a teenager discovering they could hang out alone with friends. Lots of excitement, a few gaffes, and stories we still remember with a smile. Early 2010s. Computers are still going strong, but the star of the moment is something else: the smartphone. If before the internet was like that friend who only showed up when you went to visit, on your home PC, now it's that friend who sticks with you and even goes to the bakery with you. 3G, and later 4G, technology transformed everything. Now you could watch videos on the bus, send audio messages at the grocery store, post photos of your lunch in real time. And of course, see memes at 3 a.m. without having to get out of bed. Social media has completely taken over the scene. Facebook was at its peak, with everyone liking, commenting, and accepting friends from people you didn't even remember you knew. Instagram arrived kicking down the door with filters that made any French bread look like a work of art. Twitter became the world's biggest confessional, where everyone commented on everything, from soap operas to championships. And we can't forget WhatsApp, which started out simple and suddenly became practically the planet's official email account. The family group, the work group, the street group, the group you joined but don't know how to leave. It all started in this era. It was also the decade of influencers. Before, celebrities were only those who appeared on TV. Now, anyone with charisma, or the courage to dance in the middle of a room, could gain millions of followers. But it wasn't all hearts and likes. This phase also brought up discussions about privacy and fake news. People began to realize that perhaps sharing miracle recipes and secret cures wasn't such a good idea. The fact is, in the 2010s, the internet stopped being a place you logged in, and became something that was with you all the time. It was as if the whole world fit in your pocket, and sometimes you even felt like putting it on silent mode to relax. The 2020s. The internet is no longer the shy friend of the 60s or the glitter-covered teenager of the 2000s. Now it's practically the queen of the digital prom, and everyone depends on it for almost everything. Right from the start, 5G arrived promising incredible speeds. It's so fast that if you blinked, the video would already be loading. This opened up opportunities like watching high-quality movies on the go, playing online games without lag, and even controlling appliances without leaving the couch. And then we entered the age of artificial intelligence. Now, beyond websites and social media, you can chat with robots that respond like people, like me. AI is everywhere, in the app that suggests your next song, in the website that creates your travel itinerary, in the camera that recognizes your face, and even in the refrigerator that reminds you when the milk is running low. The metaverse trend has also emerged, a virtual world where you can work, study, play, and socialize without leaving your home. It's like a first-person The Sims, but with work meetings and parties where no one has to wash the dishes afterward. Augmented reality and virtual reality have also gained traction. Today you can view furniture in your living room on your phone before purchasing, or play a game as if you were actually there. It's essentially playing a video game with teleportation superpowers. Of course, along with all of this, the conversation about digital ethics grew: how to use technology in a healthy way, how to protect privacy, and how to prevent us from becoming 100% dependent on a screen in our hands. But if there's one thing that hasn't changed, it's the power of memes. No matter how much technology advances, the internet will always find a way to turn any situation into a joke. Basically, this phase is like living in a house that talks to you, helps you organize your life, but also distracts you with a video of a cat wearing sunglasses right when you need to be productive. So that's today's video. If you liked it, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. See you in the next story.